What he just said will have Rockets fans split as the Houston Rockets lose their last 3 of 4 games, including last night's blowout loss to the Oklahoma City Thunder. There are a lot of questions of what this team might need to do before the trade deadline. That includes making a huge trade for a brand new point guard. Will it happen? Will it won't happen? A lot of Rockets fans are split on this, so we're going to get to what Tracy McGrady said in his comments last night. Welcome, everybody, to another episode of Rockets Digest. I'm your host, Donovan Ricondo, and this is the online channel where we break down the latest news, rumors, and updates regarding your favorite H-Town team, the Houston Rockets. And today, we are talking about some of Tracy McGrady's words from last night about the Rockets' lack of a point guard. And this has been something all season, right? The Rockets having lost VanVleet at the start of the season, it was a big question of what this offense was going to look like without their starting point guard. To his credit, Amen Thompson has done a wonderful job in playing that role. He's averaging 18 points, I believe 7 rebounds, 5 assists, or something like that. It might be reversed, but he is having himself a pretty solid season. The only thing about it is that he is not a true point guard. And in games like yesterday, you kind of see that on display. You kind of miss VanVleet's presence. And Tracy McGrady kind of said it simply yesterday for Rockets legend and NBA Hall of Famer. The reasoning for the skid is simple. No point guard. McGrady stated on NBA Showtime presented by State Farm, they definitely need a point guard. Plain and simple. That is what this team needs, right? Yes, we do have Reed Shepherd as our backup, and he's been playing fairly well. It kind of stalled a little, or declined a little bit in the last few games. But overall, I'm very happy with Reed's development as a player in just his second year. Again, Amen Thompson as well. But this team, there are times where we're not really running our sets. We're not really a playmaker. We're kind of just give the ball to KD, give the ball to Alperen, and let's just see what happens. And we're going to get into the deeper quote that McGrady said, as well as some words from Fred VanVleet. But before we get into all of the news today, this video is brought to you by Kalshi. When you download Kalshi using the link below and enter the code DIGESTNBA, you'll get $20 when you trade your first $100. Kalshi is the largest prediction market in the U.S., and on their platform, you can trade yes/no on real-life events. I'm talking sports, news, pretty much everything. And whether you're in California, Texas, or anywhere else across the country, Kalshi is live in all 50 U.S. states. And for sports fans, you can trade on game outcomes, playoff chances, or player performances, all on a regulated market where you can cash out anytime. It's genuinely a new way to use your sports or news knowledge, and you can close positions whenever you want. So download Kalshi with a link in the description, and don't forget to use the code DIGESTNBA to get your $20 bonus. And thank you once again to Kalshi for sponsoring this video. Now, to that quote from Tracy McGrady. He says this last night on Amazon, saying they were trying to use the twin Amen at the point guard position. He's tampered with it a little bit, but to lead a team with KD on there and you're losing your starting point guard, it's uncharted waters for a guy that's trying to lead a team that was second in the NBA in the Western Conference last year, and you're coming back, adding KD. It was just too much pressure, and it just didn't work out. And this is crucial, in my opinion, of him saying this at not even the halfway mark of the NBA season, almost the halfway mark, as this team sits right now at 6th seed in the Western Conference. And there is a lot of truth to what Tracy was saying right here. The offense just has not been the same as it was last year in terms of the ball movement that we were getting and just how fluid everything kind of seemed. And much of that is because of VanVleet being healthy last year and Amen being more of a small forward in that aspect last year and kind of not taking over the point guard duties as much as the coaching staff kind of were looking to kind of put him in that role this year before Fred got hurt. But now after the injury, everything has just sped up. His track has just sped up. And again, I do want to give Amin his flowers here. He has done a fairly good job, but just at the end of the day, that is not his specialty, right? That was Fred's specialty, and we're kind of seeing the kind of effects of not having Fred out there playing for this team. Now, that begs the question, right? Does this front office need to make a move before the trade deadline? I kind of go back and forth. I understand that there probably isn't a lot of guys that they can trade for without kind of ruining or kind of affecting the core of this team. I feel like the guys that we do have, all fit very well on this team. And I would hate to trade away a guy like Fred. I would hate to trade away a guy like Jabari Smith Jr. And so it's very hard for me to see exactly who they're going to trade for, right? All the bigger names were like James Harden, which I don't think we should do, Trae Young, who is already traded to the Washington Wizards. And so I've seen names floated here and there from other teams, and I don't think any of those guys are necessarily big names, but just players that do specialize in being a point guard for their teams. And so that is kind of the main thing where I think if you're GM Rafael Stone, you're kind of looking at who is even available to be traded and who could kind of have an impact on this team. There are just not a lot of guys, and I could fully see a future where they just kind of deal with it as it is, right? Okay, this is the cards we're being dealt. We just got to figure it out, and hopefully we can get some wins off of that. Some, playoff home series, possibly win a playoff series, unlike last year. But with that being said, not having a point guard is a problem, right? That is the every single time I see people talk about the Rockets, I read comments of what we guys say. That is the main problem with this offense. Not just not having that go-to facilitator. Yes, you do have KD and Alperen who go ahead and score whenever they please, and Jabari Smith Jr. who can get a solid 15, and Reed Shepherd who can, play lights out for a little while. But that is a huge missing piece for this team. And Fred kind of mentioned these other things of what is also wrong with this team right now. And he has, good points here, right? Of the other day just saying, we're not shooting the ball great right now. I think once those numbers come back up, you'll see us take back off again. But that's kind of what I do, just being a coach on the floor and trying to put guys in positions to be successful, guarding the perimeter, making big shots. I just know how much I could help, not even from my production, just from me being on the court, helping guys and putting them in the right spots. It's only so much yelling you can do from the sidelines. And I do love this about Fred. He's still rehabbing that injury. He's still trying to, come back within 6 months of his injury, which would be insane if he were to even do that, considering what the injury was. But at the same time, yeah, it's great that he's out there and coaching these guys, and that's what he should be doing, as any great leader would do. But his presence is so missed right now. And I think last night, was the biggest indication of that, when in that fourth quarter, the offense was just non-existent, right? There was not really a person who was able to kind of organize that offense and kind of set something up, because that offense, when you score only 8 points in 8 minutes into the fourth quarter, that's not going to win you a lot of basketball games, let alone against the Oklahoma City Thunder. And so that is going to be a big thing that is going to be discussed within the front office, and it has a lot of Rockets fans kind of going back and forth, right? We would love to have a point guard that was more consistent and was more, has a speciality in terms of that. But that would just mean having to trade away, depending on how high of a caliber a guy is, having to trade away a guy like Fred, who does have a no-trade clause, or trading away like Jabari Smith or Reed, or potential future first-round picks just for, I don't know, maybe 1 or 2 years of whoever point guard this may be, right? And so it's a very difficult situation, which, in my opinion, my prediction is that the Rockets are just going to stay put and figure it out amongst themselves, right? I think they're just going to have to Hope Amen can kind of lead that way. Hopefully, Kevin Durant and Alperen Şengün can continue their kind of scoring streaks. Last night was kind of a subpar game, which is weird to say when they still score, double-digit points and stuff. But at the same time, the Rockets gotta move forward. They gotta trend forward. And tonight they play the Minnesota Timberwolves in what is hopefully a win for this team. It won't be exactly the gauge that we hope that it would be. Anthony Edwards is not playing. This is not the blockbuster matchup as anticipated, but despite all that, I fully expect a Rockets win. There's no excuse for the Rockets not winning this game. And nothing is guaranteed in the NBA, so we're going to watch this game and hope for the best. But I want the Rockets. I want them to win every game. But this is a very special game for the Rockets because this cannot lead to a more of a descent, right? When you lose the 3 of the last 4, one at home against OKC, you don't want to continue this losing streak at home against a team who is without their star player. So this is a get-back game, a get-right game for the Houston Rockets. And hopefully they can correct some of all of this stuff, right? All of this talk about the point guard position, as Tracy McGrady points out, needs some sort of change. Or, that is kind of the Achilles heel of this team right now. But in due time, we will find out soon on whether or not this will happen for the Houston Rockets. And with that, let me know in the comments what you think the Houston Rockets should do before the trade deadline. Should they go out and get another point guard, or should they stay put? This has been another episode of Rockets Digest. Thank you so much for tuning in. I have been your host, Donovan Ricondo, and we'll see you on the next one. Take care.